Valentina makes her move. She goes to Berlin and finds Endstation's Berlin lab within the sewers. Constructing a small-scale inversion warhead, she opens the gateway there and enters the dark ether, changing her. Finally meeting with her father, she realizes something is wrong, but by this point it is too far gone to consider the implications. She then waits for the armies to assemble at the head of the portal. It should be noted that due to the dimensional fertility in Berlin and the more advanced nature of the portal, the gateway here is incredibly stable. Meanwhile, CIA agents stationed in Berlin locate a dead drop that wasn't meant for them. Inside, they discover information on Project Janus. The director quickly sends out Requiem's work-in-progress AI, Klaus, to handle the situation. Klaus slowly killed each agent one by one and destroyed the documents they found. There is some speculation that potentially the AI of Klaus is in fact based on the director, allowing him to do his bidding whilst him not being physically there. Realizing that Valentina had betrayed him on February 2nd, 1985, in order to put a stop to her, Kravchenko decides to send in Requiem's invincible strike team. After being held prisoner in Potsdam for several weeks, Kravchenko uses Raptor 1's life as leverage, as he did manage to survive the crash. Locating the Berlin Endstation lab, they realize Valentina is already within the dark ether. They activate Klaus and finish what the CIA agent started, retrieving the components to build an inversion warhead to close the gateway. Unfortunately, in order to properly purify the crystals, they would need a being made of concentrated Ethereum. Luckily, Valentina in her new form was just this. They fight and defeat Valentina using her to complete the warhead, and have Klaus enter the gateway to detonate the warhead from the other side. Kravchenko, bringing Raptor 1 into the open, fires at the strike team, believing now is the time to tie up loose ends. The strike team are able to escape though, thanks to Agent Maxis, who from her cell in Block 8 manifests a portal for them. The director watches this from his office and notes that Project Janus can now proceed, but that Maxis' growing powers may be an issue for it. Almost instantaneously after the strike team's victory in Berlin, the outbreak zones began to exhibit new behavior. Swirling vortices of primordial Ethereum appeared, and where previously terraforming occurred through a long process of creating and growing the giant power node crystals, one of these vortices could create a power node in 1/4 of the time. Alarmingly, this allowed new outbreak zones seemingly unconnected to the Ural Mountains but on a similar scale to appear. In these outbreak zones, they encounter Piotr, a lost soul who almost succumbed to the dark ether but was saved at the brink by his encounter with Sam. Now, by hiding in the loot chest, he is able to briefly cross over back into the real world and help the strike team, though is eventually pulled back by the Forsaken. The director during this time continued his work with Sam in Block 8, performing further psychologically intensive tests in order to allow her to correctly harness her powers. This included forcing her to kill an Omega soldier with her mind, otherwise her closest, more than a friend Grey would be shot. During one session, he threatened to shoot her dog if she didn't teleport her somewhere safe. By the end of this experience, however, Maxis claims she realizes the director was right, and that he had made her realize that she was a good soul. She also admits to the strike team that she was indeed the cause for the outbreak at Outpost 25. During the director's interrogations, he constantly uses leverage against Maxis, knowing a lot about her, that being because he is none other than Eddie Richtofen and clearly remembers events of the old Etherverse, whilst Maxis' memory is hazy. It is unclear as to why this is the case. We know that Samantha Maxis and Eddie Richtofen entered this new universe holding hands. It is possible that some sort of event happened that separated the two and caused Samantha to forget memories. It is unclear as to what exactly happened. We will just have to see as the storyline continues. Knowing her character, this made it easier for Eddie to manipulate her, reassuring her that she's a good soul. Furthermore, the director also once again addressed the same shadowy group he had done shortly after the Berlin incident, referring to them as the redacted board of directors, explaining that despite them wanting to use the Berlin gateway for Project Janus, had he not closed it, the Forsaken would have destroyed them all. He recognizes the fact that the destruction of the world isn't necessarily a big motivation for them, and so instead notes that an apocalypse wouldn't be particularly good for their and their shareholders' pockets either, insinuating that they are a cabal of uber-rich individuals who require Janus for a hidden agenda.